What is going on? It is Fred from the Red Chair Reviews. Hello. I thought I would try something different, which is that, I was going to try something here on TikTok, a live video, which I've never done before. I don't know if I'm going to like it or if I'm going to do it again. I'm going to check it out. I've decided to take the band Him, Finnish metal band, and rate their albums, from worst to best, I guess you could say. I don't think Him has done really too much bad as far as like bad music. They've been a pretty solid kind of goth metal outfit for several years. They broke up a few years ago, maybe 2017. I did go to see their farewell concert in Detroit. And, then Villa Velo has gone on to do some solo work and other things. And so, this is a band that I look at very fondly. I know a lot of people kind of like lump them in this like emo goth phase, but I kind of feel like they're more of a, they always remind me like Billy Idol or something, kind of like a more classic, straightforward rock feel, a little influence from like, I don't know, the bass line's kind of Van Halen-ish. I just feel like they're a band that maybe doesn't get appreciated enough. But either way, I've decided to take their 8 studio albums and rank them from worst to best. So let's do that right now. We'll start with what I think is their least successful album. It is an album called Tears on Tape. This is one of their last 2 records. I'm guessing on the year on this, 2013 maybe? I think it's the year I think it was. I just don't feel there's a lot of great songs on this record. Tears on Tape is a great tune, which is the title track. All Lips Go Blue and Love Without Tears are pretty solid as well. But I think that overall this album is not very cohesive. I don't love the production on it. I don't even love the artwork on it. And I just feel like Tears on Tape is their least successful effort. I do have a couple copies of this in blue and a green, and they had a new pressing as well. That's the cool thing about this band, is they are still pressing stuff, which is kind of neat as well. The 7th best Him album is also near the end of their catalog, and it is Screamworks. It's got a real long title. Screamworks Love in Theory and Practice, chapters 1 through 13. Invented Veritas is a great song. Heart Killer is a great song. Cap and Wheel is pretty good as well. But once again, I don't find this to be an album that is, great as far as the band. I think this is a band that broke up at the right time. They were putting out subpar work, and I think Villa Velo, his solo record Neon Noir from a couple years ago, is excellent. So I think it kind of refreshed him. I think he's been kind of driving the force of the band for many, many years now, maybe since the beginning. And so, I'm fine with them kind of moving on. But I feel like those last 2 records are, okay, but just nothing to write home about. My 6th, album in their ranking is the debut, Greatest Love Songs 666. It's more of an EP. Has a great song, Your Sweet 666, Wicked Game, an amazing cover, which I really love, The Heartless, and their cover of Don't Fear the Reaper. But this feels like an unrealized record. This is them kind of like finding their way. And I think, like, for example, For You, the intro is really cool too. Your Sweet 666 and Wicked Game would go on to be on other releases and things like that. So I think the best stuff from this found newer recordings later. It's a great debut though, and I think it shows where the band was starting out. Next in the lineup here, I think this is their 5th best out of the 8. And this is, I believe, their most successful commercial album, which is Dark Light. This is the record that a lot of people found them through. I'd found them a little earlier thanks to our friends in CKY and him, Bam Margera, was really obsessed with him very early. And so that's kind of where I kind of got into them, if you will. But this has a lot of really well-known songs. I love Killing Loneliness. I think it's a great tune. Rip Out the Wings of a Butterfly was the song that really snagged people for this record. Poison Heart. Just really some really cool songs on here. But once again, I don't find that this has some bonus tracks on it too. That's why I said Poison Heart, because it does have that as a bonus on this particular LP. I don't think this has been released on LP, like a full one like this, in a while. But this was commercially their most successful record. But I don't find this to be, I don't know about you guys, but I I feel like although this is their commercial success, I don't think this is their creative peak or anything like that. Dark Light's a good record. I always joke with some friends that this is the, quote, shitty Him album, but it's not really shitty. It's pretty good. It falls in the middle of their catalog, actually. But I don't think it's... Venus Doom, is that the bootleg? You mean this one right here? Is that what you're asking about? This is not a bootleg if you're talking about this. I'm sorry that I didn't see that earlier. But none of these things that I'm showing you today are the bootleg copies. These are all official copies, including the Screamworks, which is pretty insane to find now. But this is like a crazy big 2-disc gatefold of Dark Light. But it is not a bootleg. It is actually the official copy. I try to avoid bootlegs if I can. But, you know, sometimes they slip in. I think a Body Count bootleg slipped into my thing at some point accidentally. I don't love bootlegs. All right. At number 4 out of these 8 albums, their 4th best record, I don't have on vinyl because it's only, that is, sorry, Venus Doom, glad to see it chiming in there. It's cool to get the real deal. I'd gotten it a few years ago, and that's the only reason. I know it's skyrocketed since then. My wife and I were lucky enough to kind of get into the record collecting right around like 2016. It was right before the huge boom hit, and then everything, of course, has skyrocketed since then. The 4th best record by him, in my opinion, is this one right here. This is Venus Doom. I'm only showing you the CD copies because there's no vinyl. I don't know why they won't release this on vinyl, to be truthful with you. Passion's Killing Floor, Venus Doom, Cyanide Sun is an amazing ender. There's only 9 songs on this record, but I think it's perfect as far as the length of it. And the reason I love this record is because, they were doing that kind of thing at the end of some of the songs where they do the Black Sabbath thing where they just add like a swingy, heavy part at the end. I thought that was great. Typo did that on World Coming Down as well. But I really like how Villa Villa was playing with this lower register. He was messing with that lower kind of voice on a lot of these songs, almost Peter Steele-ish, and I really liked the effects on it. Very heavy, dark album, and I think this record is underrated in their catalog. If I had to say, give me one Him record that's underrated, it'd probably be Venus Doom. Yeah, I think you're right, Venus. I think it is a record issue, a company issue, that they can't get it released. I keep waiting and waiting, but I don't know if it's ever going to happen, and I don't know if Velo cares enough to do it either at this point, or any of his people. All right, this is where things get a little controversial. Number 3 for me is Razorblade Romance. Now I know this is a intro for a lot of the early kind of fans, and myself included. I heard Right Here in My Arms. I watched that video and I saw that song. And I was like, man, I really like these guys. And there was I teach high school. There was a short while there where some of the kids were wearing these shirts. So it did kind of get a little bit of popularity in America and things like that. But, Join Me in Death, Poison Girl, Gone with the Sin, Heaven Tonight. There's a lot of great tracks on here. But there's also, I think, a few songs that I still consider to be filler, and I tend to skip when they come around. Near the end of the second half in particular. But I think it's a great record, but it's not their best, I don't think. I know this is one that people know them for. I do have the Her CD of this, too, which, once again, I was lucky enough to get very early, because that went kind of crazy as well, the Her version of that, where they made like a limited pressing in America. They were going to have to change their name, yada, yada, yada. Next, we have their second best record, in my opinion, is Love Metal. I think this record production is great. I think songwriting, they really hit their stride here on this record. Sacrament, Buried Alive by Love is a great opener. Soul on Fire, Funeral of Hearts is obviously one of their more kind of ballady kind of things. So, yeah, the Her CD is sorry to change, but I want to talk to Venus here. Yeah, the Her CD is hard to find. And I know there's a lot of bootlegs going around, so I had to like go on and check all the key points to make sure, because I know there was a lot of like bootlegs coming out of Russia of that thing for a while. But I'd actually kind of got lucky enough to get it before they were making all those crazy boots. So, it's an official copy, and I probably won't ever sell it because I just like to have it so much. I think I saw a shirt for that said Her as well on it that they'd made, and it was like hundreds of dollars. I'm like, no, thank you. Also, it was a medium, and your boy's not a medium. So, but yeah, here is Love Metal. This is, I think, their second best record, and I think this record is really good. There's no skips on this album. And then for any Him fan, you've probably already figured out what my number one is, and you may disagree because not everyone loves this record. A lot of people find this to be a flop from them, and that is Deep Shadows and Brilliant Highlights. I absolutely love this record. I still listen to it at least once a month. I do have an expanded version here on vinyl, which has an extra record with it. It has some Holola tapes. Actually, the transformation version of Pretending is very interesting because he doesn't go up into the higher pitch on the chorus, which I think the producers made him do. I know they put a lot of energy into trying to make this album like a big commercial success and yada, 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 and it wasn't. A lot of people found this to be... like, I don't know, it just wasn't. People wanted it to be heavy or something. But yeah, Venus, we are on the outskirts here on this. A lot of people hate this record. And I can't understand why. I've given this album to people and say, listen to this album. Listen to it. And oh, no, they'll say, oh, that's not anywhere near their best album. Dark Light's 10 times better. I cannot disagree more. I think this album is just so underappreciated and underloved. And I don't know why. The songs are beautiful and just haunting and well written, and I think the production is great, and I can feel the effort that they put in on this album. I know they were trying to make a great record, and they did, and it just didn't land. So for me, that Deep Shadows is the best album they've ever done, and a lot of people disagree with that. But yes, I'm glad that some of you were able to kind of join here and check this out. I've never done a live on here before, and I thought Him was a good band to start with. And, dig back a little bit. And if you haven't checked out that Villa Velo Neon Noir album, you definitely want to do that. I did catch them coming through Cleveland live, and it was really good. Yeah, I don't know, Venus, if Dark Light was as successful overseas as it was here. I do know that was the first time where I started seeing people talking about Him here in Ohio. But Dark Light didn't really do it for me. It's not a bad record, like I said. It's in the middle of their catalog, but it's not their best, like a lot of people tend to say. But yeah, once again, thanks so much. I hope you guys have had a chance to enjoy this. Feel free to kind of give me a follow, and I will do the same. I love watching people talk about music and what they love. I don't want people just to listen to me. I love hearing what other people love because that's how I find new stuff. So thanks so much for checking it out, and I hope you guys will take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.